and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial we're going to learn how to crochet step by step this beautiful cable stitch cowl. The total measurements are 124 centimeters long by 36 centimeters wide, which is about 49.5 inches long by 14.5 inches wide. The yarn that I'm using, and we're going to see the material in a second, I'm using Signet Chunky, which is a size 5 yarn, and I used about 5 skeins. Each skein is 156 meters. It's about 156 meters. Now, the rows that we're going to repeat for this pattern are rows 4 through row 7. Okay, so we're repeating those 4 rows throughout our project. Row 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now let's see the material that we're going to use and how to start. The yarn that we're going to use is Signet Chunky, which is 100% acrylic, and each skein has about 156 meters. I'm going to use 2 large buttons in the end, and I'm going to crochet with a 6mm crochet hook. I have already started with my chain and have worked a total of 42 chains, and because row 1 is going to be made of double crochet, from the 42 chains I'm going to be left with 40 double crochet. I'm going to skip the first 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to start crocheting from the 4th one. Now, by doing this, the first 3 chains that I skipped are the first double crochet of the row, and the double crochet that I just worked in the 4th chain is my 2nd stitch, so I'm starting to count from 2. Next chain, 3, next one, 4, next one, 5, and keep crocheting up until the end right here for a total of 40 double crochet. I have completed working my 40 double crochet. Now we're going to start row number 2 by chaining 2, and I'm going to turn my work. Now, from this row we're going to see which is going to be the good side and the wrong side of our project. Because we're going to work front post double crochet on row 2, this means that on every even number row it's going to be the good side of our project. So I chained 2 and I want to work 1 half double crochet in the first stitch. And the 2 chains that I worked to start my row with do not count as a stitch. They help me to go up and work my first half double crochet. And I want to have 1 half double crochet in the first 5 stitches. So 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, next one, 4, and my next stitch, 5. So we have 5 half double crochet. Now in each of the next 6 stitches I'm going to work 1 front post double crochet, in which in the next rows on those 6 front post double crochet we're going to be working our cables. So this is how to work our front post double crochet. Put your hook from the front to the back on the right side of the stitch. Take your hook out again on the left side, so you see we're pulling outwards the stitch, and work a double crochet. Second stitch, same steps. Put your hook from the front to the back on the right side, take it out to the front again on the left side, and work your front post double crochet. Third stitch, same thing. Put your hook from the front to the back on the right side, take it out to the front again on the left side, and work your front post double crochet. Fourth stitch, put your hook from the front to the back on the right side, take it out to the front again on the left side, and work your front post double crochet. Okay, so this was our 4th stitch. Now 5th stitch, same steps from the front to the back on the right side, out to the front again on the left side, and work your double crochet. And for the 6th stitch, from the front to the back on the right side, out to the front again on the left side, and work your front post double crochet. So this is the only time that I showed step by step how to work the front post double crochet. Once I reach the other side, we're going to go faster. Now in the center, I want to work 1 half double crochet in each of the next 18 stitches. Now you need to be aware of where you need to put your stitch. The next stitch is this one over here to start with, and not the loop that's visible up here. This loop belongs to the double crochet that we just worked a front post around it. Okay, every time that we start a new row and we turn the work, the loops that belong to each stitch is on the top left right here. So the top left belongs to this stitch that we just worked. So starting from the next one, we want a total of 18 half double crochet. So 1, next stitch, 2, and once I work my 18 stitches, I'm going to turn my video back on. I have worked my 18 half double crochet. Now again we're going to work 6 front post double crochet, because right here we're going to form the second cable. Okay, so we're going to go a little faster. 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, next one, 4, next one, 5, and the next stitch, 6 front post double crochet. Okay, 2, 4, 6, and now we're going to finish the row the same way we started, with a total of 5 half double crochet, starting from the next stitch right over here. 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, next one, 4, and my last stitch right over here. Make sure you don't miss your last stitch, because it's the 3 chains that we skipped in the beginning of row 1. So counting from the bottom to the top, put your hook in this 3rd chain right here in the peak, and work your last half double crochet. Okay, so we finished crocheting row number 2. Now let's start row number 3. So now we're going to start row number 3 by chaining 2, and I'm going to turn my work. Now row number 3 and all odd number rows are going to be the wrong side of my project. So chain 2, and starting from the first stitch, work your first 5 half double crochet. 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, 4, and the last stitch, 5. Now the next 6 stitches are those that in the previous row we worked front post double crochet. In this row and in all wrong side, and every time that we work in the wrong side, we are always going to be working back post double crochet. So starting from the first stitch, I'm going to put my hook from the back to the front on the right side of the stitch, and I'm going to take my hook to the back again on the left side. So I'm pulling backwards a stitch, and I'm going to work my double crochet. Around the second stitch, put your hook from the back to the front on the right side of the stitch, take it out to the back again on the left side, and work your double crochet. Third stitch, put your hook from the back to the front on the right side, out to the back again on the left side, and work your double crochet. Next stitch, from the back to the front on the right side, to the back again on the left side, and work your double crochet. Fifth stitch, from the back to the front on the right side, to the back again on the left side, and work your double crochet. Now the sixth stitch is really not visible at all, so it's I would prefer every time that you work on the wrong side to count those 6 stitches. If you don't want to count the rest of the row, at least count those 6 stitches, because you're going to miss the last back post double crochet. See, it's this one over here. It's not visible at all. So this is our 6th back post double crochet right over here. So make sure you count your stitches so you're not missing any in the next row. So we worked our 6 back post double crochet. Now starting from the next stitch, which is not this one as we mentioned earlier, this belongs to the last back post double crochet. Starting from the next stitch, work your 18 half double crochet. 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, and keep crocheting off camera up until you have your 18 stitches. I'm going to continue off camera with my 6 back post double crochet, same exact steps as we just did, and I'm going to finish the row off camera with the last 5 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and make sure the 5th half double crochet falls on the last half double crochet and not on the 2 chains. We never crochet on those 2 chains because they never count as a stitch for this pattern. So once I finish row 3, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start row number 4. I have completed row number 3, and this is how it looks like. Now, as we go through the rows, the wrong side is going to look a lot better, okay? It's not going to be folding outwards as it looks right now. So this was row number 3. Now we're going to start row number 4 by chaining 2 and turn your work. This is the first row of repetitions. What we're going to do now, in the same way that we're going to work the cables on the right side, the right cable, this is how exactly you're going to be working the cable on the right side throughout the work. And the way that we're going to work the left cable, this is how you're going to be working it throughout the project. The difference from the one cable to the other is first we always crochet the 4th, 5th, and 6th stitch. When I go back to crochet to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stitches, I always take my hook from the back of those 3 first stitches that I'm going to work and take it out to the front. When I work the left cable, the only difference is that when I go back to crochet on the 1st and 2nd and 3rd stitches that I have skipped, my hook's going to be going from the front. So let's see how we're going to do that. So we have worked our 2 chains, we turn our project, and we do want to, so these look like 3 chains, and they are. Okay, so 2 chains and turn your work. Always start with your 5 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on those 6 front post double crochet that we have here, we're going to work our cable. So in order to work the cable, always yarn over twice because we're going to be working triple crochet. Skip the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work around the 4th, 5th, and 6th stitches. So skip the first 3, go around the 4th stitch, and we're going to work a front post triple crochet. Okay, so pull your yarn under the stitch, then through the first 2 loops, next 2 loops, and around and through the last 2 loops, yarn over twice, put your hook around the 5th stitch and pull it outwards. Take the yarn, pull it under the stitch, okay, through the first 2 loops, next 2 loops, and the last 2 loops. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 6th stitch, okay, and pull it outwards because we're working front post triple crochet. Take the yarn under the stitch, through the first 2 loops, next 2 loops, and the last 2 loops. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to crochet front post triple crochet around the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stitches that we skipped. What we're going to do though is once you wrap the yarn around twice, we're going to go behind those first 3 triple crochet, take your hook out in the front, okay, and we're gonna work a front post triple crochet around the first stitch, but because you cannot work it as it is like this, we're going to be pulling down those first 3 stitches, and now you're gonna work your front post triple crochet. Next, we're gonna work around the next stitch, the second one. So again, yarn over twice, your hook goes behind those 3 stitches out to the front. This is the second stitch, work your front post triple crochet, and in order to do that, again, pull down the first 3 stitches, and we're gonna work the front post triple crochet. Then yarn over twice, and we're gonna go back to the third stitch, this one, which is not gonna be that visible once you have worked the first 2. Okay, from the back of those 3 stitches, take out the hook in the front, pull outwards the third stitch, pull down those 3 stitches, and we're gonna work the front post triple crochet. So let's do it. So yarn over twice, take your hook from the back of those 3 stitches, take it out, and this right here is the first stitch that we skipped. Pull it outwards, pull down the first 3 stitches, and now work your front post triple crochet. Take the yarn, pull it under the stitch, through the first 2 loops, next 2 loops, and the last 2 loops, and this is how it looks like. Yarn over twice, take the hook from the back of those stitches, take your hook out, and this right here is the second stitch. Pull it outwards, pull down the first 3 stitches, and work your front post triple crochet. Okay, now the third stitch is really not that visible, but it's this one over here. Yarn over twice, take your hook from the back of those 3 stitches to the front, okay, pull your stitch outwards, pull down the first 3 stitches, and work your front post triple crochet. And this is how, when you start crossing the stitches for the cable, looks like. Now, in the next rows where we're gonna work the back posts and the front posts, your cables are gonna be visible, because right now they're really not. Now, starting from the next stitch, which is not this one over here, as we said, this stitch is the loop that belongs to the 6th stitch that we worked the front post triple crochet. So this is the first out of the 18 half double crochet. So 1, okay, work your next 17 half double crochet, so we have 18 in the center, and I'm going to turn my video back on to work the second cable. So every time you're working the cable on the right, you're working those exact steps as we just did over here. I have worked my 18 stitches, and now we're going to work the second cable, where the left side cable is always going to be worked in the same exact way as we're going to do now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work 3 front post double crochet around the 4th, 5th, and 6th stitches. So yarn over twice, skip the first 3, 1, 2, 3, put your hook around the 4th, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 5th stitch, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 6th stitch, and work your front post triple crochet. Now I'm going to go back to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stitches that I skipped, but I'm not going behind as I did for this cable. My hook is going to be going from the front, okay, and I'm going to work a front post around the first one, yarn over twice, put your hook from the front post, triple crochet around the second one, and then a front post triple crochet around the third one. So yarn over twice, your hook goes from the front, and this right here is the first stitch. Right here, pull it outwards, so we're working our front post triple crochet. yarn over twice. Okay, this right here is the second stitch that we skipped. So your hook goes from the front, you're pulling outwards the stitch, and you're working the front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice. Now the third stitch is really not that visible, it's this one over here, so always use your fingers to open up the stitches so you can see where you're crocheting. This right here is the third stitch. Pull it outwards and work a front post triple crochet. And finish the row by working the last 5 half double crochet starting from the next stitch, which is this one over here. 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, 4, and the last stitch of the row is this one over here, 5. So this is how our second cable looks like. So in the second cable, in the left one, the last 3 stitches that we crochet are on the first, second, and third. They go over, going down to the right. And the difference with this one is that the last 3 that we work, they go behind. Okay, so now we're going to start row number 5, which is the second row of repetitions. So let's start row 5, which is the second row of repetitions. So chain 2, turn your work. Always starting from the first stitch, work your 5 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the next 6 stitches are my cables, and every time that we are on the wrong side, every time we do the repetitions of row 5, 6, and 7, we always crochet the stitches in order. We're not skipping stitches and going back and forth, okay? So in rows 5, 6, and 7, we're taking the stitches in order. And because we're on the wrong side now, we want to work back post double crochet. So what I'm really going to do, if I face down my project and I'm looking on the front side, the first 3 stitches that I'm working are the first 3 that are going down to the left side. And what I'm really doing, and this is one way to do it, this is going to be your first back post double crochet. So if you put your hook under the stitch, it's the same thing as working a back post. Then the next stitch, this is your second back post, and third, this is your third back post double crochet. Okay, what I really just did is these steps right here. So let me take the yarn on the other side so it's visible. So what I really did is the first 3 stitches are these ones over here. I'm opening up with my fingers because they're really not that visible. Okay, so this right here was my first front post, back post double crochet. Then the second stitch right here, this is the second back post, and right here is the third back post double crochet. Then we have the next 3 stitches, the 4th, 5th, and 6th one, the ones that are going to the bottom right, and I want to make sure that I'm pulling on the side the first 3, okay, and I want to pull backwards the 4th stitch, then pull backwards the 5th stitch, and lastly pull backwards the 6th stitch. Okay, and except from the row, the 4th row where we work crossing the stitches to work the cables, this is the only row that we work triple crochet. All other rows we're only working front post and back post double crochet. Okay, so let's go to the first stitch, and you can use the first way that I showed you if you can see the stitches. Okay, so first back post double crochet. Now put your hook around the second stitch and work your back post double crochet. Put your hook around the third stitch and work your back post double crochet. Then your fourth stitch and work your back post double crochet. Then around the fifth stitch and work your back post double crochet. And lastly around your sixth stitch and work your back post double crochet. Now starting from the next stitch, work your 18 half double crochet, and once I reach to the stitches of the next cable, I'm going to turn my video back on. Okay, so I have worked my 18 half double crochet. Now we're going to work our 6 back post. Now the first 3 stitches that I'm going to work, because we're working in order, are my first, the ones that are going down left here, first, second, and third. Now the other 3 are not visible at all. So you can place down your project again, facing down, and you're looking on the good side. And those 3 stitches that are going to the bottom right are the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now one way, if you can't see your stitches and you find it difficult to work your back post double crochet, just put your hook under the first stitch, and this is the 4th one, and work your back post double crochet. Then under the second one, which is the 5th, and then under the third one, which is the 6th stitch, to work your back post double crochet. What I'm going to do, once I finish crocheting the first 3 back posts, okay, 1, next stitch, 2, and the next stitch, and always use your fingers to open up the stitches, 3. Now the next 3, which are not visible, I'm just going to open up the stitches, and they're back here. So I'm going to work a back post around the 4th one, then a back post around the 5th one, and a back post around the 6th one. Okay, so let's start. Okay, and my last half double crochet just frog, so I'm going to work the 18th one again, and let's start with our back post. So first one around the first stitch and work your back post double crochet. Second one around the second stitch and work your back post double crochet. And third one around the third stitch and work your back post double crochet. Then for the 4th, 5th, and 6th, you can use the first way that I just showed. Okay, so 4th stitch and back post double crochet, 5th stitch and work a back post double crochet, and 6th stitch and work your back post double crochet, and finish the row with a 5 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now we're going to start row number 6, which is the 3rd row of repetitions. So let's start row 6, which is the 3rd row repetitions, by chaining 2. Turn your work. Always start with your 5 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm going to work 1 front post double crochet around each of the next 6 stitches in order again. So around the first one and work your front post double crochet, around the second one and work your front post double crochet, and always use your fingers to open up the stitches. Okay, this is the 3rd one and work a front post double crochet. Now the 4th one is hidden behind the stitches, so open them up so you can see where the next stitch is. This is the 4th one and work a front post double crochet. Then the 5th one and work a front post double crochet, and the 6th one and work your front post double crochet. Now starting from the next stitch, work your 18 half double crochet. I have worked my 18 stitches again, and I'm going to work my 6 front post double crochet. So open up your stitches. This is your first front post. Okay, next stitch, this one, and please open your stitches so they are visible. Okay, so put your hook around it and work your 2nd front post double crochet. Then the 3rd one is really not visible at all, so open up your stitches so you can see your 3rd front post double crochet right over here. Then the 4th one, the 5th front post double crochet, and your 6th one. And again, finish the row with your 5 half double crochet starting from the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last stitch, 5. And now we're going to start, and this is how it looks, okay, when you finish your 6th row. And now we're going to start row number 7, which is the 4th and last row of repetitions. Okay, so we're starting row 7, which is the last row of repetitions. Chain 2 and turn your work. Start with your 5 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and my last stitch, 5. Now this is probably one of the easiest rows because all my stitches are visible. We are on the wrong side, so we're going to work 6 back post double crochet. Starting from the first stitch, pull it backwards. 2nd stitch, work your back post double crochet. 3rd stitch, work your back post double crochet. 4th stitch, work your back post double crochet. 5th stitch, work your back post double crochet. And again, please count your stitches. The 6th stitch, again, it's not visible at all. It's this one back here, and this is my 6th and last back post double crochet for this cable. Now off camera, I'm going to work my 18 half double crochet. I'm also going to work my 6 back post because they're super easy. I can see all of my stitches. So work your 6 back post double crochet and finish the row with your 5 half double crochet. And I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to repeat the steps going back in row 4. So for one last time, we're going to see how to work the cables for this pattern. I have completed row number 7, which was my last row of repetitions. This is how the wrong side looks like. Now I have already chained 2, and I'm going to turn my work, and we are going to start, and we're going to work only this row. We're going to start repeating row 4 all over again, and see how from here to here, this is how it should look every time that you complete your repetitions. You cross the stitches for the cable and then 3 rows of double crochet of front posts and back posts to give you the correct length to go ahead and cross your stitches again for the cables. Okay, so start with your 5 half double crochet as always. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to repeat the same exact steps as we did down in row 4 for the right cable. So I'm going to yarn over twice, skip the first 3 stitches, pull out the 4th one to work a front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 5th stitch, pull it out, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 6th stitch to work your front post triple crochet. Now again, for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stitches, we're putting our hook behind the first 3. If you must go back to row 4 where I show step by step how to do this part, please do so. It'll help you a lot because we're working the same exact steps. So yarn over twice, and this is the 1st stitch that we skipped. Put your hook behind the first 3 stitches and take your hook out to the front of your project. Put your hook around the 1st stitch, pull down the stitches, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice. Again, put your hook behind the first 3 stitches, take your hook out in the front, put your hook around the 2nd stitch, pull down the first 3 stitches, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice. Now this right here is the 3rd stitch, so put your hook behind the 3 stitches. Okay, put your hook around the 3rd stitch, pull down the stitches, and work your front post triple crochet. So look how beautiful the cable looks now that we worked the stitches again. Okay, now that we crossed the stitches again, this is how your cables are going to look throughout the project. Now starting from the next stitch, work your 18 half double crochet, and we're going to work together the 2nd cable. I've worked my 18 half double crochet. Now we're going to work our 2nd cable, which will be worked in the same exact way as we did in row 4. So yarn over twice, skip the first 3 stitches, put your hook around the 4th one, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 5th stitch, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 6th stitch, okay, and work your front post triple crochet. Now we're going back to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stitches to work a front post from the front side as we did down here, and not from the back side of the stitches as we did on the right. Okay, so this is the difference between those 2 cables. Yarn over twice, go back to your 1st stitch that you skipped, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, go back to the 2nd stitch that we skipped, put your hook around it, and work your front post triple crochet. Yarn over twice, put your hook around the 3rd stitch that we skipped, pull it outwards, and work your front post triple crochet. Okay, so here how beautiful our cables look like, and this is the difference between the 2. Okay, so finish with your 5 half double crochet, then do the repetitions over on number 5, okay, with your 6 back post double crochet on each cable, and we always work in order. Row number 6, work your 6 front post double crochet on the cables. Row 7, work your 6 back post double crochet around the 2 cables. Okay, the only row in which we work cables is row number 4, in which we cross the stitches. In all the other rows, we take the stitches in order. So go ahead and keep repeating rows 4, 5, 6, and 7, and once I reach the spot where I have the correct length, I'm going to turn my video back on. I'm going to mention how many rows in total, what's the length at that point, and we're going to see how to continue. I have completed crocheting the length of my cowl, and I have a total of 123 rows, and the total length is 118 centimeters, which is about 47 inches. And this is how it looks from the top where I finished, going down. Look how beautiful our cables look. Okay, Now what we're gonna do, my last row, my 123rd row, was a wrong side. Okay, I completed working all of the repetitions that I need for the cable. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to turn our work clockwise, and we're going to start crocheting on the side a few rows to make a ribbing. So let's see how we're going to do that. Now I have turned my work clockwise. This is where we finished over here. This was the last row. So I turned my work clockwise to work on the side of my cowl to create the ribbing. Now I have worked 2 chains, which counts as my first double crochet, and I want to work 1 double crochet in the stitches across. Now we're working horizontally on the first stitch of every row. But we need to be aware of, I have mentioned this in other videos as well, when we work on the side stitches, okay, horizontally on the stitches, every time that we have a single crochet, because the stitches are too short because of the single crochet, we only need 1 stitch in every stitch going down. If we have double crochet, because the double crochet is being completed in 2 steps, first the first 2 loops and then the second 2 loops, we need 2 stitches on top of every double crochet to cover the distance. But for the half double crochet, if I work 1 stitch in every stitch, it will be too little, so my work is going to shrink. If I work 2 stitches like I do on the double crochet, the stitches are going to be too many and my work is going to open up, and it's going to be visible that we were working some sort of increases. So what I want to do for the half double crochet, I need 1 stitch in the first row, 2 stitches in the second one, 1 stitch in the first row, 2 stitches in the second one. And the way that we're going to work this is we have to understand the stitches. Now the 2 chains count as my first double crochet, and where I'm going to crochet now is not the big hole that I can see over here, but I want to crochet in those 2 chains. If you recall, we were starting the rows of half double crochet with 2 chains and we were crocheting in the very same stitch. So both of those chains are blank because we never crocheted into them. So I want to put my hook in the first chain, which is this one over here, and I'm going to work 1 double crochet. And right into the next chain, see how my stitches opened up and I can see the second chain as well? Put your hook in there and work your second double crochet. Now in the next row, the first stitch is the half double crochet. Okay, so I do not want to crochet in this big hole over here, but I want to crochet under this one because this here is the half double crochet. So I want to put my hook under it and I'm going to work 1 double crochet. Now next again, I want to work in my 2 chains. So do not put your hook in this big hole over here. This is not where we want to crochet into. But these right here are my 2 chains. So first chain, 1 double crochet, second chain right next to it. If you have worked your chains tightly, they're not going to be very visible, but they're there. We need 2 chains. Okay, work your second double crochet. Now the next stitch is not this big hole over here, but this next one. This is the half double crochet, so under it I want to work 1 double crochet. Okay, so let's keep working the next 2 stitches. So the next stitch is my 2 chains. Again, do not crochet in this hole over here. This is not a stitch. I want to put my hook in the first chain. Okay, and even though it seems that like it's not a stitch after it, right next to it down here, it's my second chain right over here to work the double crochet. So the first chain is here, and the second chain, see how my stitches opened up? My second chain is right next to it. Then my next stitch is the half double crochet. Again, do not crochet under this big hole. This is the half double crochet, so put your hook under it and work only one stitch. Next, again, I want my 2 chains. Do not crochet in this hole. Rather, right here we have the 2 chains. 1 chain, 2 chains. Now, if it's hard for you to find the chains to crochet into them, just put your hook under the 2 chains and work the 2 double crochet if this suits you better. But if you crochet in the stitches, the result will be better in the end. But again, if you can't find the stitches, just put your hook under the 2 chains and work 2 double crochet. Now, once I complete the whole row, the whole side going downwards, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to finish crocheting right here on the last stitch, because this last stitch was a double crochet, the row that we started our project with. Okay, so we're going to see how to crochet and how to continue with the ribbing. I'm almost done crocheting, and so far I have a total of 183 stitches. Okay, now right here in the first row where we worked our double crochet, work 1 double crochet under the double crochet and 1 double crochet right here in the chain to finish the row with. So we have a total of 185 stitches. Now I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to turn my work, and this is going to be the good side of my project. See here where you can see the cables? So this is the good side. Now, by doing this, by working 2 stitches on the chains and 1 stitch on the double crochet, what we have created is sets of 2 and then a double crochet by itself, sets of 2 and 1 double crochet by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a 1-2 ribbing, and this means that 1 stitch I'm going to work a back post, the next 2 stitches are going to be front posts. 1 back post, 2 front posts, 1 back post, 2 front posts, and this will give a very nice end result on my project. So let's start by crocheting. After the 2 chains, I'm going to work 1 half double crochet in the very first stitch of my row. In those 2 chains, because I work half double crochet, they do not count as a stitch. Now the next stitch right here, I'm going to work a back post double crochet. So put your hook from the back to the front on the right side of the stitch, to the back again on the left side, and we're pulling backwards the stitch and work 1 double crochet. Around the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So put your hook around the next stitch from the front to the back on the right side of the stitch, out to the front again from the left side, so we're pulling outwards and we're working a double crochet. Next stitch is a front post double crochet as well. So put your hook from the front to the back on the right side of the stitch, out to the front again on the left side, and work a double crochet. The next stitch is going to be a back post double crochet. See the one that's standing here by itself? So put your hook from the back to the front on the right side of the stitch, out to the back again, so we're pulling backwards on the left side, and work a double crochet. My next 2 stitches, see here, a set of 2, these are on top of the chains that we crocheted. We're going to work a front post double crochet around them. 1 front post around the first one, 1 front post around the second one, and look what a beautiful results we have. So keep working 1 back post, 2 front post, 1 back post, 2 front post, up until the end of the row, where we are going to finish as such. This stitch right here, see it standing by itself, so this is going to be a back post double crochet. Next 2 stitches are going to be front post double crochet, And the last stitch of the row, right here, the 2 chains counting from the bottom going to the top, right here in the peak, I'm going to finish the row with 1 half double crochet. So again, in the end of this row, we're going to have 185 stitches. So again, this is going to be a back post, 2 front post, and a half double crochet in the end of the row. I have completed crocheting the second row of my ribbing, and this is how it looks like. Look how nice the 2x1 ribbing looks. Now we're going to work a third and last row, and then we're going to go onto the other side. So I'm going to start with 2 chains, and I'm going to turn my work. Now, what happens when we turn our work is that the direction of the stitches changes, but I do want to keep the same direction. What I mean is that when I finished my work with the 2 front posts, what it looks in the back, when I turn the work, they seem as they are back post double crochet. So in this row, I'm going to work them back post. Now this stitch, in the previous row, I worked a back post double crochet, and when I turn my work, this back post becomes a front post. So I'm going to work it as a front post. So in this row, I'm going to be working 2 back post, 1 front post, 2 back post, 1 front post. Okay, so we have started with our 2 chains. Put your hook in the very first stitch in the half double crochet and work 1 half double crochet. Now around the first 2 stitches, work 1 back post double crochet. 1, next stitch, 2, around the next stitch, work 1 front post double crochet. So keep repeating those steps. 2 back post, 1, 2, and then 1 front post. And look how nice it looks in the front. So I'm going to keep working 2 back post, 1 front post, 2 back post, 1 front post, up until the end of the row, right here, where I'm going to finish the row with 2 back post double crochet, 1 front post double crochet, and on top of the last stitch of the row, which was the half double crochet, I'm going to work 1 half double crochet to finish my row with. I have completed the 3rd row for my ribbing. Now I'm going to work a last row, a 4th row, because it will give a nicer result on my ribbing. Okay, chain 2, turn your work, and in row 4 I'm going to work the same exact steps as I did in the 2nd row. So in the 2nd row, I started with 1 half double crochet. The next stitch will be a back post double crochet, and around each of the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. 1, next stitch, 2. Now I'm going to keep repeating those steps, 1 back post, 2 front post, 1 back post, 2 front post, up until all the way in the end, where again I'm going to finish with 1 back post, double crochet, 2 front post, and in the last stitch of the row, I'm going to work a half double crochet. I have completed working the whole row, and look how beautiful the ribbing looks now that we worked a 4th row. Now, in order to finish, chain 1, cut the yarn, and fasten off, and now we're going to see how to attach the yarn on the other side and how to work the same steps. Now that we have completed crocheting the ribbing on the one side, now we're going to start crocheting on the other side to create the 2x1 ribbing here as well. What I want you to be aware of is that when we finished the last row for the cowl and I turned my work clockwise to start crocheting on the side here to start creating the ribbing, when we started the first row to make the double crochet, my work was on the wrong side. row 2 was on the good side, row 3 of the ribbing was on the wrong side, and the 4th row that we just completed was on the good side of our project. On the other side, in order for my stitches to come out correctly, in order to have the sets that I need to work the 2x1, I'm going to start crocheting from the good side. Row 2 is going to be on the wrong side, row 3 on the good side, and row 4 on the wrong side. So let's see how we're going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to attach my yarn up here in the corner where it is a 2 chain, those 2 chains. Put your hook under those 2 chains and attach your yarn. Pull it under the stitch, chain 2, which counts as our first double crochet. And now start crocheting. Right here I have my half double crochet, so put your hook under it and work your first double crochet. Well, the first one was the chain 2, okay, so this is the second double crochet. Now again, we do not want to crochet in this hole. Right here is my 2 chains, so put your hook in the first one and work a double crochet. Oops. So put your hook in the first one and work a double crochet. And see how the next chain opened up? So put your hook in the second chain and work your second double crochet. Now again, we do not want to crochet in this big hole over here. I want to go into the left of it, and this is under the half double crochet. I'm working 1 stitch. Then again, not in here, but on the 2 chains. First chain, 1 double crochet, second chain, 1 double crochet. Okay, so I want you to be aware of where you're crocheting. I don't want to crochet on every single step where I see a hole, because if I do that, I'm going to have 1 extra stitch that I need. Right here, if I worked 1 stitch on the hole, 1 stitch in the second hole, a stitch in the third hole, and in the fourth hole, I would have 4 double crochet instead of 3 that I need on every set. Okay, so every time that we're here under the half double crochet, I don't want to crochet in this big hole over here. I want to go to the left of it. See, we have like a piece of yarn separating those 2 holes. I want to put my hook in the left. Again, right here, we do not want to crochet in this hole over here. Right here in the top, we have the 2 chains. First chain, second chain. Continue. Again, not on the big hole. We want to go into the left of it, under the half double crochet. Okay, again, no crocheting in here. Right next to it, we have the 2 chains. 1, 2. Under the half double crochet, on top of the 2 chains, and so on. Once you reach the end, down here, we're going to work the same exact steps as we did on the other side. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet under the chains over here to finish the row with, and then my last double crochet is going to fall right here to what it seems to be the last chain, okay, going downwards, like the corner chain over here. So 1 double crochet under the big space down here, and 1 double crochet into the last chain to finish the row with, and we need to have the same number of stitches that we had on the other side. I'm almost done crocheting the row, and so far I have worked 182 stitches, and I turned my video back on to see how to work the last 3. So the stitch 183 will fall right here in the hole. So 183, 184 under the chain space, and stitch number 185 right here in the last chain of the row. Now I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to turn my work. Now we need to be careful because we are on the wrong side of our project. This means that I'm going to be working 1 front post and 2 back posts, and the reason that I'm doing this is because the 2 back posts are going to be front posts on the good side as they are on the other side of our cowl. So I'm working the opposite stitches as I was doing on the other side because of the way we started and the way that we need to continue in order to have the front posts on the good side and the back posts on the wrong side of our work. So now we're working on the wrong side, and my first stitch is going to be a half double crochet, and then the first stitch right here, the next one, is going to be a front post double crochet. This means that on the good side, it's going to be a back post. And if I check right here, the first stitch on the other side, see right here, right after the half double crochet, this right here is a back post. And then to front post, a back post to front post, and so on. So I need to work the opposite stitches now. So one front post and two back post double crochet, one around the next stitch and one around the next stitch. So one front post and two back posts. I need my stitches to be aligned on both sides, and what I mean, when I look at my project, I need to have the same exact stitch. So see here I have a half double crochet, one front post and two back posts to begin with. Same here, half double crochet, one front post, two back posts. This is an easier way to understand what the steps that I'm working. Okay, so keep working. One front post, two back posts, one front post, two back posts, all the way till the end. And once I finish, before I work my last stitches, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to work them together. I'm almost done crocheting with a row. I'm almost done crocheting my row, and I'm left with the last three stitches. Now the fourth before the end is a front post double crochet. Next two stitches are going to be two back posts. Okay, back post double crochet and a back post double crochet in the second before the last stitch, and in the last stitch of the row is going to be a half double crochet in the second chain, counting from the bottom to the top. Now chain two and turn your work. Now the next two rows are going to be worked off camera. Okay, and I want to work the steps as I'm going to explain right away. We're going to start with a half double crochet, and now in this row we're going to have two front posts, one back post, two front posts, one back post up until the end. And once you finish the third row and you turn to the fourth, the steps are going to be same as this row that we just completed. One front post, two back post, one front post, two back post. Okay, once I finish those two rows, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I have completed working the 4 rows of my ribbing. Now I'm going to chain one, cut the yarn and fasten off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and work a ribbing on the front piece where we're going to be buttoning our cowl. Now that we have completed crocheting both sides, the ribbing on both sides, what we're going to do is we're going to attach yarn and work the ribbing on the front part to attach the buttons. So right here, this is the last row that I worked on the cowl. This is where I just cut the yarn. Okay, I'm going to attach my yarn on the good side on the opposite end. This is the end right here. These are the chains that we started our cowl with. This is the side where I'm going to work my ribbing. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so now we're going to attach the yarn right here under the chains on the corner stitch right here under the 2 chains. Take the yarn and attach it, chain 2, which counts as our first double crochet. Now put your hook under the half double crochet and work 1 double crochet. So this is my second stitch. Now we have the 2 chains, 1 double crochet in the first chain, 1 double crochet in the second chain right over here. Now my next stitch is a double crochet, because if you recall, the first row for the ribbing on the side was a row of double crochet. okay, up until the end. So when we work horizontally on top of double crochet, we need 2 stitches to cover the distance. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the top of the stitch and 1 double crochet in the bottom of the stitch, right in here. And I have a total of 6 double crochet, 2, 4, 6 when I work on the spot right here where it was the ribbing. Now when I work 1 double crochet in each of the leftover chains that I had when I worked in the first row. Okay, so I have 6 first chain, 7 next chain, 8 next one, 9 next one, 10 next chain, 11, and keep crocheting in your leftover loops of the chains that we worked in the beginning. And once I reach the spot where again I'm going to work right here on the stitches of the ribbing, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how we're going to get our 6 stitches again. I have completed crocheting in all of my chains, and so far I have a total of 46 double crochet. Now we're going to work the last 6 to get a total of 52 stitches. So the next stitch is going to be under the double crochet, so 47, then on top of the double crochet, 48, on the 2 chains right over here, 49 in the next chain right next to it, 50 under the half double crochet, 51, and right here on the top in the end in the corner the 52nd stitch. So we have a total of 52 double crochet, and this is how it looks like. Now we're going to start row 2 by chaining 2, and we're going to turn the work. Okay, as always when we work front posts and back posts, the first stitch is a half double crochet. Now start working 1 front post double crochet around the next stitch, 1 back post double crochet around the next one. Continue by working 1 front post double crochet around the next stitch, 1 back post double crochet around the next one. So keep working 1 front post, 1 back post, 1 front post, 1 back post up until the end. Once I reach the end as well, I'm going to turn my video back on to see what stitch, the second before the last stitch, if it's a front post or a back post. Okay, we're going to finish together the row. We're going to see how row 3 starts, and then we're going to finish the ribbing off camera. I'm almost done with row 2. The last stitch was a back post double crochet, so our sets are 1 front post, 1 back post, 1 front post, 1 back post. Okay, and in the end, in the last stitch of the row, in the second chain, counting from the bottom to the top, work your half double crochet. Okay, now all the next rows are going to be exactly the same thing. So starting row 3, I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to turn my work. Okay, and this is going to start as such. We're going to work the half double crochet in the beginning of the row, and we're working the same exact steps, 1 front post, 1 back post, 1 front post, 1 back post, up until the end where the last 2 stitches are going to be again 1 front post, 1 back post, and your half double crochet. And the next row again is going to be exactly the same stitches, 1 front post, 1 back post, and so on. So I'm going to work the rest of the ribbing off camera, and once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on. I'm going to mention how many rows of the ribbon that I've worked in total, and then we're going to see how to attach the buttons. I have completed crocheting my ribbon. I have worked a total of 6 rows along with the row with the double crochet that we worked in the beginning. Okay, total of 6 rows, and now in order to finish, chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. Now let's see how we're going to attach our buttons. Okay, so now in order to attach our buttons, I'm going to fold one side down, and I've already counted my stitches to know where to attach my buttons. And the other side that we just worked the ribbing, we want it to be on the top. And what I do is I grab both ends and I open up the cowl. Now, because when working the ribbing, the front posts and the back posts, I have mentioned in other videos as well, our project tends to shrink. See how it's going on the inside? This means it's shrinking. In order to attach the buttons, I want you to open it up. Okay, and what I did is I want to attach the one button on the back post over here, and the other button on the back post double crochet over here. Okay, and what I do, since I have opened up the stitches as I wanted, I take the needle and take it down the hole, open up my project, and where the needle is, this is where I want to attach my first stitch marker. I do the same exact thing on the other side as well. Take it down, open it up, and right here where it falls, where the needle falls, I attach my other stitch marker. Now if you want me to count the stitches, I have attached my first stitch marker on the first back post, double crochet after the two front posts, and counting from the beginning to the stitch marker, count a total of 18 sets of two front posts. So this is a set of front posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. On the 18th set of two front post double crochet is where I attached my second button. Now what I usually do is I take double yarn just so the buttons that I'm attaching are as secure and as tight as possible. And what I do is I place the button on the stitch marker. Okay, you have to remove the stitch marker to do this step. Okay, and so from the bottom to the top, going down the other buttonhole over here, and then I go through the holes one more time just to make sure that the button is as safe as possible. Okay, so from the bottom to the top and then to the other hole. Then I go into the back and I make a knot to secure the button, and I weave in the ends in the wrong side of my project, and I repeat the same step on the other button as well. Now once I finish weaving, attaching the buttons and weaving in my ends, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how our cowl looks completed. I have attached my buttons, I have completed weaving in all of my ends, and now like we did on the previous cowl, because we haven't crocheted any buttonholes, those buttons, because they're kind of big, it's going to be kind of hard to button your project in the first 1 or 2 times, but then the holes are going to get looser and it's going to be easier. But because the cowl is made this way that you don't need to unbutton every time, you can just wear it over your head every time you want to wear it, so you don't have to button and unbutton the whole time. Now because the distance from the one button to the other is kind of big, you can also attach a third button in the center if you would like. It will look very, very nice. So this is how our cowl looks from the bottom going to the top. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, and if you like the video, please press like and leave a comment. Thanks again, bye bye.